What's up, y'all? Welcome back to The Creative Process. And today is actually going to be a very special show because we're going to be talking about one of my projects, kind of giving a backstory about a project that I did called Between Dreams and Reality. And I actually have a co-host with me, none other than my sister, Kimberly Flowers. And y'all welcome her to the podcast.
Thank you. Super excited to be here. The girl, yeah.
So if you don't know much about our family, I have two younger sisters and a younger brother. It's birth order is me, and then Kimberly, and then my sister Marsha, and then Ricky. And yeah, so the reason why, Kim, I wanted to have you on this podcast episode about Between Dreams and Realities because a lot of it happened while we were both working at the church, the inspiration of it. And so when I think of you just as a person, I think of freedom, creativity, all of that. And yeah.
Destroying the process.
Yeah. So I think about you in that way. And there was you probably inspired this project more than you realize. Even I was even thinking about like the songs, and I was like, man, so we co-wrote Dreamers. That was the first time that I ever co-wrote with anybody. I did another song with Maurice, Surrender, on that project, on Between Dreams, but you're the first person that I actually ever co-wrote a song with.
Yeah.
Like for a project that was mine, I had never co-written with anybody. I put out underground projects. I put out Freedom Project, and then Between Dreams was the song. Like it was an album where I was like, it was another project of mine, and I was not collaborative. But in that project, I had you and Maurice, and you were the first one that actually wrote, co-wrote on my project.
I'm honored, very honored.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want you to just let people know a little bit about you, just brief summary of your growing up. And
am I growing up?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in the same household, but like, yeah. But I mean, we're gonna be talking about this project, and
like I used to have a rock collection in 8th grade.
That you did. But even growing up, one of the things about you is just you were very creative, and you were an inventor, you were trying to build things and create things and all of that, and so there's different, creatives come in all different shapes and sizes. For me, I am creative, but I am very reserved sometimes. And a lot of it has to do with just me being the oldest and feeling responsibility and all that kind of stuff. And just that tension between the responsibility that I feel like I have to have and the creativity that I know that I should be flowing in. So it's like, you're second born and you are just free. I just feel like you don't have the same limitations that I put on myself. So yeah, share just a little bit about your passion. What you're into right now. What are you into right now?
Right now, I just figured out code. So now I'm building like a master builder. But I'm kind of like, I'm always been creative, like you said. So I'm always building. Right now, I learned how to build with code. So now that I realize my eyes are becoming aware of everything that's code, and I'm building an app. I've built, my background is like websites and visual creatives. And so I did that for like most of my life. So just kind of like intro about me, I guess, right? I am his sister. We grew up in the same house, like you said, and you're right about the freedom side of things, because that's like my life mantra is live free. You know what I mean? If it feels like bondage, I don't want it.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely true about me. But as it pertains to like, creative like stuff, I feel like it's always the question of like, are you an artist? Like, it's hard. It's hard to like identify yourself as an artist if you do a lot of different types of art. Like you said, like creatives come in all shapes and sizes,
Right.
and so creativity starting out can look like clay, and then it can look like painting, then it can look like technology, which is what I'm into mainly right now. So even now when people ask me am I a creative, it's like, I mean, I'm creative with
You're
technology,
creating,
right?
yeah.
I'm creating, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not something like, I guess when people ask, are you an artist? You're just kind of like, you feel like you got to wear a specific hat for that. You know what I mean? Like there's a specific credential. So
Yeah, and I think that's one of the barriers that we've had even just with Rise. It's just like, we're doing Rise for creatives, and people are just like, well, what is that? Because
what is
does
a
that mean?
creative?
Yeah, like people will ask us, well, who is it actually for? Is it for musicians? Is it for singers and painters or sculptors? Is it?
It's
I
for
like to create.
builders,
Yeah,
right?
it's like I like to create things, and so I think ultimately, I was talking to a guy and he was telling me about Rise, and he was like, I think you'll get more people if you just understand that everybody has a God's fingerprint of creativity on them, and they're going to create in some way. So whether they're creating through creating actual art, or whether they're creating solutions, ultimately everything is creating a solution.
That's true. And even if you're in business, right? Like you're
Right.
creating solutions for problems on the job. You know,
Yeah.
that takes a level of creativity. So a lot of times people do, I think you're right there.
Yeah.
They ignore, am I creative? We're all creatives, right?
Yeah.
In a way, we all have our lane in which we are creative. But I think, the way that the world is moving now with technology,
Yeah.
more people are, starting to realize we're all creators.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Something to
literally
create.
everybody,
Yeah.
like if you want to exist online, you have to be a creator.
Yeah.
You have to be specifically a content creator.
Right.
And so that's been interesting. But going into the project, just starting with the album cover itself. I don't know if you remember the album cover. Here it is. But
Did I take this picture? No.
no,
Who took this
Don
picture?
Don.
Oh, but I was
Hopkins
on the
took
shoot
it.
with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so pictures like me having headphones on, and then but I'm in a little priest collar also.
Right. Mhm.
So it just and
Yeah, that was really a
and I'm
struggle back in the
sweating.
day too. That was the legit
I
truth.
put the it looks like I'm sweating in the picture also.
Yeah.
So it's just like this picture of like work and hustle, and I'm struggling between
Two worlds.
my dream, which is the music, and the reality, which is like I'm working at a church, or I'm in this whole religious stream, but my dream is creativity. And so, but you, in a lot of ways, were influential in that because
I tell you, you're the one.
Yeah, that, which I have a
Lead
song.
the movement, Jarrell. You're the one.
But you were also, we'd have conversations at the church,
Lots of.
and you were basically like,
We got to get out of here.
exactly. You're basically like, this isn't it. While
If we
you're
stay
editing
here,
videos.
we'll die. No, I'm just kidding.
While you're
No.
editing videos, this ain't it.
Right. No, I mean, and I think it's just because like there is a lot. One of the things that I admire about you is that you have this ability to be able to stick with the process. You know what I mean? Like you were always saying that like, let's just follow the process. Trust it. There it is. Trust the process. And I'm like, we're veering, we're drifting. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I mean, being able to stick with the process and being able to trust the process for what it is something that I've had to learn myself. Like I learned it years later, understanding like what that looks like, and knowing when to trust the process and when to let it burn. Those are
when
all
the process
different.
is broken.
Yeah, and then those are all different things that you got to like figure out. But one of the things that I learned early on that I think I probably helped you to see is that if you wait for people, you're gonna be waiting forever. You know what I mean? Like on anything, like, and you're so collaborative, and I love that for you, and I love that for me too. You know what I mean? I definitely need to be more collaborative myself, but I like to. I learned earlier that like people like to jump on a moving train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not like trying to like, hey, let's all decide where we want to go and then let's go. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they want something that's in motion already, and then you say, hey, this is what I'm doing. You want to come? You know what I mean? That's kind of like the conversation that I think gets people moving. And so I think that when you were building during that time in your life, you were kind of like ready to bring everybody with you because you were ready to like move.
No, that's still a struggle to this day.
Yeah, like, you were ready to move with everybody's foot right, left. You know what I mean? Let's go. But like, because you didn't want to leave anybody behind. You know what I mean? And I understand that. Like, but I also realize that, especially if you're, you know, working in your own hometown, unfortunately, you're going to be 17 forever. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that, like, even if you have a serious solution and a serious idea and a thing that's going to work, it's like, it tends to get pushed down the line a little bit. You know what I mean? Just because, like, everybody knows, I love that passion, Jarrell. We'll get to it next year. You know what I mean? So that can be a struggle, you know what I mean? And that was our struggle. And I think you know, I could see you struggling with that when we were in that time. We were always having side meetings and stuff like that. And it was mainly me venting to you like, hey, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm just
when
like,
are we going to do the movement?
Get out of my office, kid. I got work to do.
I'm like, have you seen this song? Have you seen that? Have you heard this? You know what I mean? Like, what'd you think of the board meeting? Like, no. No. But I mean, like, you know, being a mover in a space where there is more trust the process people, it can be difficult. You know what I mean? Because trust the process can turn into complacency, can turn into we'll do it tomorrow, can turn into it we don't need to do it because there's not, you know, like just because we don't need innovation today. Like it's fine what we have now, you know what I mean? Right.
They haven't seen the problem coming.
Yes.
So they're just like, well, we're just going to...
If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing.
Right.
And I understand that too. But at the same time, like, you know me, I'm an innovator. Like, and I know you are too. Like, you got to be moving. You got to be moving. And so when you're stuck in one place and you feel like you should be moving, it can be...
Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to do this again today, like, even though this project is... I've done it a while back. Yeah. But the reason why I wanted to do it today and with you, because like I feel like I'm kind of in that same space again. I feel like the stakes are higher. I feel
How
like
so?
Just because so Rise, I feel like with Rise, and then also with, you know, I'm working with South Texas Alliance for Orphans. So I feel like there's this part of me that I want to help the people, like you're saying. I want to help people. But I also know that I'm supposed to be creating like nonstop.
Yeah.
But the stakes are higher. Like I've never had more influence than I have right now. Like even back then, I felt like I had influence right now.
Are we talking about reputation stakes or?
No, I'm talking about like just influence. So I've never had more influence than I have right now. And I also think that I want to jump fully into creativity and not look back. Okay. You know, and so
what does that look like?
What does that mean for Rise? What does that mean for and so but I also have a different perspective on it, because I think when I made Between Dreams, I was thinking about, okay, I'm working and I want to but I want to do creativity full time. Like that's the dream. But now I feel like work in a way is also kind of grounding me to humanity, and it's grounding me to
understanding the target audience.
With just understanding people. And I'm also realizing too that creates a hustle in me that I didn't have when I was just kind of solely focused on my own thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Is it because of the time stretch, or is it because of like What do you mean? Like how?
I think maybe it's because of the time stretch, but I think it's the time, but I also think it's when I'm creating in a vacuum and I don't understand that there's actually people out there that are hurting and giving. I'm working with these young adults who are aging out of foster care. They're selling their plasma for a PS4, and like they just want to live playing games and selling plasma. And I'm like, so that like
make some good money off plasma.
Yeah.
Just joking.
but my thing is like, it's like, okay, I'm creating while also trying to help these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I made Between Dreams, I was just like, man, I want to get out of here and into here. Now I'm like, this is grounding me and giving me inspiration, and it's forcing me to be focused. Yeah. And it's focusing me to be focused on like how much time I'm investing into it. So I have to make every moment that I'm creating, I have to actually make it count. It's just like there's this healthy tension where I'm like, yeah. So I feel like, again, it's like between dreams and reality, but I feel like the stakes are higher because there is more influence. There's more people calling and asking about what Rise is doing and how they can get involved. And I didn't have that before. I was just doing youth ministry or worship or whatever. But now people are actually looking to me for something, and I'm like, yeah. So it's just really interesting. But so it's like a perfect time to talk about this again. But,
okay.
So the first song, Burn. And that was like the intro of the project.
Yeah.
And
I cried when you did that one. You know why? Because it was like, for me, well, for one, was Burn was that the second one you sang in a little bit? Like, was it?
Yeah, it was actually the first.
The first one?
Yeah,
that's the one I screamed on. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, because he's been rapping this whole time, and then like,
yeah.
I mean, we all knew he had a voice under there, but like, he never wanted to like let it free. Yeah. And so it was like, to me, it was like a sign that you were opening yourself up to being a full artist and not just niching into the rap culture lane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You were expanding and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and expand in that way publicly. I think it was cool. It was real cool.
Yeah.
It sounded great. It was like,
yeah.
So let me ask you, kind of, we talked about how the moment that you were in during that time, and what was the inspiration for the album itself, like in your own mind? Granted, we had conversations and you were in a stretching phase, you were in a pulling phase more than anything, like, kind of like a little bit of internal tug of war. But what inspired you to, like, what do you think about when you're writing your music to start that album or to start the project? Yeah,
part of it has to do with my personal relationship with art, because this project, if you haven't been following, like, this project was a project that just changed everything for me. So when I released the project, it was like I went on tour for basically like 3 years of just like concert, and then touring with other people. That project opened up the door for me to actually fund my Rise album. While I was on tour, I found an investor and went into the, pretty much paid for the Rise album. And so it was, going back to your question, like, this was a foundational project for me, and my relationship with art was changing at that point too, because before that, I was kind of wanting to be, I was talking at people, and I wasn't like talking with people, and or even using art as a way to process my feelings. It was more of like, this is a preaching platform. And so and I think there's certain seasons and times for that, and some people have different callings. But like with me, my relationship started changing, and I was like, okay, I actually want to. I want to verbally process a lot of the things that I am dealing with. Yeah. So Burn, I'm starting off, yes, with singing. And so that was like okay, I'm going to really put myself out there.
It was a deep internal kind of like expression, I think. Yeah. And if you hear the song, you can hear that in it. Yeah. And it was like, it's just really good. Like it was really good. And that was actually like, I think that's when you kind of like up leveled a lot of things. Like your music's always been really good, but the style changed a little bit. Like you said, maybe because your relationship with music was changing at that time, but your style changed a little bit, and you started to move into like a more, even if you don't like rap, you'll like this kind of.
Yeah. Well, that goes into the kind of the sound of it too. So I was really inspired. The whole album, I was really inspired by a lot of 80s music.
Well, 80s question. I mean, 80s music.
Yeah. So like the 80s, like even the aesthetic of the 80s. So like on the album cover,
I remember.
There's like an upside down triangle. There's the colors, and so even with
the jacket, I helped you pick out the outfit. I remember it was the 80s vibe.
And so like even with that, like the main picture is black and white, but then the colors are like kind of representation of like, okay, retro. There's like it's retro, but there's also like, okay, there's color breaking through this black and white.
Oh yeah. So
it's
symbolic in the sense, like let the creativity.
And so
through.
So I was inspired by a lot of like 80s stuff, and there was one for Burn. There was a band called M83, and I heard it on the Divergent soundtrack. So have you seen the movie Divergent?
All of them.
Yeah. So like the very first one, there was like a vocal sample, or it was a song, and in the vocal sample, like they had like, it wasn't auto-tuned, but it was a voice box, essentially. Somebody was singing through a voice box. And I was like, man, it just kind of gave that nostalgic feel. So I did that, and I had my friend Joseph Carranza. He basically like made it into a score, because I wanted it to feel like a movie almost.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because of the whole Divergent soundtrack, and just I felt like my life was just it was like I was having this experience where I was like looking at my life, almost like a movie, and I'm like, so I need to figure out how to translate that into the music, and so it was Joseph, and then I made the actual track, and I remember I actually made the track in my office, which was crazy.
The Burn track?
Yeah. So I made the drums, and something happened with the drums. I had somebody else make it, and then like that didn't work out. I think the drums were lost or something, and so I had to, like, last minute before the deadline, I had to just pound out the drums, and there's something special about me rapping over my own production. There's just that energy. So anyway, but Burn was definitely like one of those outcries of like, God. It was pretty interesting. And then so we moved from there to I'm Awesome. And you were a lot of so the tagline is I ain't cocky, I just think I'm awesome. And that a lot of that inspiration also came from our conversations. It was just like, okay, you have to believe in yourself.
It's funny, I didn't know if you remembered our conversations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's been a few years.
What did you think was happening when we were talking?
I don't know. I just thought I was venting to you, and you were like saying, trust the process. You know? No, but a lot of times we were definitely like, collaborating and planning and deciding what we were going to do. And, you know, like we were building even then, you know, so, and we were just looking for pockets to be able to like, you know, flesh those things out. But I think definitely like, I wondered if you would, you know what I mean? Because that album actually speaks to me so much. Like I still listen to it. So, and I think that's why I think like, you don't realize how much it inspired me, actually. You know what I mean? Because you were saying what I was, I guess, saying to you in some ways, right? But like you were saying it so much more eloquently and like, you know, hitting all the right lines and bars. And so were there, like, let me ask you this. When you were building the album, like, were there things that you didn't want to say that you said? Or was there anything left unsaid in that album? Or was there anything that like was suppressed in the sense that like, I want to say this, but I'll leave it, you know?
Yes, there were some things that were left unsaid in that album that I ended up putting on my Rise album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just took you some time to get it out, but you got it out.
Yeah. So like Smoke Screen on my Rise album, where I was just talking about, you know, like being alone and all that kind of stuff and just dealing with, you know.
So how hard is it to create music that's supposed to be like, you're supposed to express your own self, but at the same time, like if you're utilizing that platform as a preaching platform, then you almost feel like a sense of responsibility to not open up, you know what I mean?
Right.
And just lead, you know what I mean? And you know, take your problems to God and let them take their problems to you, you know what I mean? Like in our family, that's kind of like, the way, you know what I mean? Because that's just kind of like,
not just our family, just Christianity in general. I feel like if you feel like you're a leader in some way, then you're not supposed to.
The whole role model thing feels like you have to hide your authentic problems.
Yeah. I mean? Like, especially like the real time problems.
Yeah. You can always do the testimony after the fact. Like, you know, you can say anything in a testimony. Like I was out there in the streets, I was doing the drugs, I was doing the women, I was doing all that, right? But then when then
I got saved.
Then I got saved. Now I'm saved. I'm totally saved. I never do any of that. I don't even curse at you now. But you met me last week when I wasn't saved. No, I'm just kidding. No, but truly, you know what I mean? There's this perception because it can be a lot of pressure, like you said, like because people do expect for you to be the leader, I guess, and then leaders just don't really like, you know, they're just not big on, you know, like. Well, they tell their problems to a small few, not to the masses. And so for music, I would imagine that would be difficult because it literally is the masses. Like it's kind of like building in public. Like, you know, I build websites and digital, you know, things. And because of that, like whenever I build, you know, building in public is kind of like, they see the messy, you know what I mean? During the build, they're watching the testimony unfold in a way, right? And I think that's what's unique, I think, about your music, because you leaned into the chaos, you know what I mean? To be able to do that, like to be able to be
in real time,
open, and be like, how you doing, man? Well, we struggling right now, but I'm sure we gonna make it. You know what I mean? That's a whole different conversation than like the testimony, like, hey, I lost my house, but now I live in a mansion, you know?
Yeah.
Those are different conversations. So like but I think any good artist developer would tell you that it's necessary to get out of your own way emotionally to be able to do that. Otherwise you can't be a good artist. You know what I mean? If you're constantly just like you said, speaking at people, you're never going to resonate with people. And I think that is like the thing, you know what I mean? When it comes to being an artist, like that that virality comes from deep resonance, and resonance can only come from a deeper understanding of not just I know who you are, but I know I've been where you've been kind of resonance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just hits different. And I think this album did that for you. So that was
with Between Dreams, it was a lot of what I was going through for sure was in the album, but then there's other parts where I was like,
mainly it was what you were going through. I was writing about you. In turn, I was able to
write about me. No, I think part of it is because, you know, being in a pastoral position, I felt a call to shepherd people and not hurt people.
Yeah.
And if I tell people this is what's going on, then what I'm actually feeling, then it might hurt people and they may walk away from God and all this kind of stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
but
The fear is real.
I'm realizing now, as I've matured since that project, and even more so, is like, if their walk with God is so fragile that if I make a mistake, then they're gonna fall off. Then their relationship is built on me, not God.
Right.
And so,
And
like,
they were
I
going to
feel
fall
like,
off anyways, because there's enough pastors out there that have already fallen off.
right. And so, so that just gives me the response, or I guess the liberty to say, God, these are actually your people. They're not my people. And I think that's what I was struggling with. I was like, these are people
My
that God has
people
given
is-
me. You know, and it's at the end of the day, I have to be like, before God, I have to be honest and say, okay, God, this is what I'm actually dealing with. This is what I'm going through. And so, but that means that I don't have to make art just for them. I'm making art for me. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the relationship starts changing,
Yeah.
you know? And so,
Is this the first album that you created that was like, I would say, a hybrid, not necessarily like a Christian album? It was like not a scripture stall album, you know what I mean? It was like
scripture stall.
That's right. Take it back. Let's take it back. The recording.
Yeah, if you don't know what the scripture stall is, I don't know if that was just in San Antonio or not, but it was basically a Christian bookstore. Scripture stall.
They had Precious Moments. Even though Precious Moments is, you know what scripture stall is.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. We didn't go to regular record stores back in the day, did we? Those are scripture stall was kind of
Scripture
hard.
stall.
Yeah.
I think this was. I don't think that any of my projects have been inauthentic. I just think that the level
The messages
at
are
which
different.
at which I like expose more about me and my humanity, it's
Started
going
there.
from this to pretty much everything now.
Yeah.
And so,
Which is
So, yeah.
good. How does that feel like for you? Like, do you feel vulnerable walking out here in these streets? Are you feeling like how do you feel?
I mean, there's a level of freedom in that, and I do feel more free than than I felt before. Now, I do understand that there are people following me, and that I just, I understand that, but I don't feel this responsibility, as much of a responsibility, to say all the right things and do all the right things all the time, because there's a certain perception of what people think you're supposed to say and do. And I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the responsibility to live under that.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel
The
like,
responsibility to
just before God, just be like,
live authentically.
Yeah. And so the funny thing about I'm Awesome is that when I did that song, I got so much flack for it. I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
No, I did not know
yeah.
that. I actually love that song. It helped me, like it helped my self-esteem. You know what I mean? Like I was.
Yeah, I got a lot of flack for it from people who are.
That's what I was about to ask. Next question: who from who?
Yeah.
Well, give me their number. I'll call them.
So San Antonio is a very religious city, and a lot of religious people jumped on that and was just like, "You're not awesome. God is awesome. Nobody's
God is
like,
awesome
literally."
through you. All right, man.
Yeah, and like
You
it
are
was literally
nothing in and of yourself.
Yes,
You are
no, I
filthy
really
rags
got that. I literally
before
got
a mighty God, and don't you forget it.
I literally got that. People were just like, "We're nothing without Christ, brother. We're nothing." I'm like,
I'm laughing because we know it's true. Like you know that is what you got. I know exactly what that's.
yeah. And so,
We've heard it all before.
So, and it was interesting because when I would perform it in different, this is the interesting part. I perform it in different spaces and get different reactions. But when I was there, so before I did Between Dreams, I was basically doing a lot of like the music was like heavy rap.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like, you know, so that landed me in specific spaces of, you know, people who wanted a rapper at the outreach and all that kind of stuff. And then when I did this one, it landed me in
more of the church people kind of.
There was a broader range of people. So it wasn't just, you know, urban churches or inner city churches. Now all of a sudden it was just like, you know, that started getting some
anymore.
I started getting like church, you know, calls from like different mega churches here in the city, stuff like that. And I was like,
different branding, different brand.
So here's the crazy thing is like when I would perform it at predominantly white churches, they would love the song. The kids and all that would love the song.
Yeah.
When I performed it in urban churches and religious, specifically like hardcore religious places, they would not like the song. It was crazy.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Did you
like mega church?
Did you get insecure about it? Like actually going out there, because you got a few of them and then you're like go to another church and you're like, oh great, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes I would just do the song because I knew that they needed the message anyway, like the urban ones, because it's like what we don't understand is that underneath all of this religious stuff that we do, there is a root of I'm not enough.
Yeah.
So like the legalistic people, they're just like, I'm not enough and you're not enough and we're never gonna be enough to measure up to God, but thank God for God because we're nothing. Is that whole we're nothing without God, and it's like under that it's just like I'm not enough.
It's a self-esteem thing.
Yeah, it's a self-esteem thing. And so, and then we wonder when we're in those spaces, we wonder why like
we can't accomplish things. Yeah, because you focus.
We don't believe we can accomplish things. If your thought
about yourself is I'm not enough, I can't do enough, you'll never do enough. You'll never be enough. I mean, you'll always be enough, but you won't accomplish it. The things, the enough that's in your head, you know what I mean, to accomplish, because it literally takes confidence to be able to, like, that's one thing that I had to learn in life. Like, you know, you think of it's all about the skill or the skill set itself. Like, as long as you have the skill set, you'll always have the other things, you know what I mean? But really, like, it definitely takes, like, you have to become the person who has the capacity for the things that you want. You know what I mean? And literally, like, you have to, like, it's not just about learning a skill. You have to become someone that
different.
Yes. Like, you're literally morphing yourself, you know what I mean? And into the next stage, into the next stage, into the next stage. And so while, you know, like you said, religious platforms can tend to look down on any, like elevated esteem type, self-esteem type things, and then but at the same time, and then look down at people who are wealthy and doing things, and, you know, like, they have big audiences, they got big, they're doing big things, and then they just act like they write it off like the devil gave it to them. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? Exactly. The devil gave it to them. It wasn't worth their soul. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, I hope it was worth it, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the tone.
And there are people right now, like,
but you don't realize, like, you literally have to become someone to get to where that person is. So while you think that the growth is not there, that they're a halfway Christian and a halfway whatever, like, that doesn't always mean that. Like, if a person is where they are, that means they are. Like, you don't get what you want in life, you get who you are in life. And I think that is so important for people to, like, understand, and you can't get anywhere, like you said, if you don't have the confidence to get there. That's step number one. So a lot of people, like, can tend to, I think your story is kind of like, I don't want to say evidence, but of that it's like, if people can tend to just be intimidated by confidence, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's an uncomfortableness.
And even just saying the words.
We feel more comfortable saying that I'm nobody and I'm nothing.
Exactly.
It's like that. Yeah. That humility that turns into low self-esteem.
Yeah, basically. It's just false humility. Like, it's not even real. But the hook on the song says, I'm feeling like a king, joint heir with the one who's running everything. So glad he pulled me from the bottom. I ain't cocky. I just think I'm awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm like constantly like riding this whole, yes, it's because of God, but also this is how I feel because of what he's done. And so when you come up to somebody and say, yeah, I'm doing awesome, I'm killing it. There are some people that are just like, well, you can't say that.
That's like telling a little child, like, you're so beautiful. And they say, I know. And then you're like,
whoa.
You know, how dare you know? You know what I mean? And it's like, but I love that the girls, like, they got confidence. You know what I mean? And so, like, I think it's important for, like, us not to stifle that in our children and to be like, or just to in one another. You know what I mean? Like, don't. Let a person be awesome. You're awesome. You are awesome. The Lord said you're awesome. You can't say you're awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Only he can say it. And nobody else. And if somebody else from the crowd that observes you says it, that'll be acceptable. But if you say it, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is just that, because people will use those scriptures like, let another man praise you. So it's like, and so if you project anything of confidence, it's just like, nope, somebody else has to. I did end up doing those songs to the, for the urban like context, just because I felt like, no, actually, if anybody needs this, because that was also me. Like
But was it uncomfortable? Like, were you like a stoic crowd, or were they already good and then you just kind of like?
Well, it took me a while. It definitely took me a while because I felt like, oh no, like, am I saying something wrong? Am I saying, but I already pinned the song. Yeah. So the song is going to be what the song is. And I was coming from that crowd too, because again, I was doing these outreaches, and there's just this mindset about I'm nothing. And so I ended up,
and that gets in your psyche more than you realize.
Yeah.
Like growing up in the church, I feel like I had to do some deep dive digging to find my self-esteem again. You know what I mean? Like and I'm not blaming anybody specifically, but I'm just saying, like, it takes, like, when your concept of like yourself, or just the concentration of God being amazing and you being nothing, that's a psychological framework that will meet you later in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you grow up in that, and so that you have to deal with at some point. You know what I mean? And for me, I had to go all the way around the bend. You know what I mean? Mad at God for being awesome, mad at everybody else. Like, it's just like, just to try to trying to figure out what I'm okay to express. You brought me here to be this, like, creative change and force in the world, but I'm seeing walls everywhere. I can't do this. I can't say that. I can't go over here. I can't do that. You know what I mean? So like, and then I gotta like build recruits to live the same way.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? So like, I think finding your freedom in God and understanding who you are, and
being okay with that,
being okay to like shut your ears to the religious noise, and keep your head focused on the actual relationship happening. That's hard to do. That's very hard to do.
Yeah.
Were there any songs on the album that like you weren't expecting to record, like a surprise that just kind of bubbled up from your gut?
When I was putting it together, I think the one that surprised me most was probably Dreamers, because it was for Janelle.
Yeah.
You actually sang on the song and helped write the hook. And so I think that was interesting, again, because of my relationship with art changing to it being more of a, this is what's happening in my life versus, oh, I just need to preach something. And so to have a song about my wife or love or anything and the relational tension and all of that between, it was just like I'm gonna put it out there, but like that would have never happened before.
So yes, seeing you do that was definitely like, okay.
Yeah.
But it also like it opens that floodgate of resonance, I think. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, you know, he's been through some things, and it's not all, you know, the testimony from 30 years ago. You know what I mean? That's not relevant today to the people that are going through it today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people were able to see he's going through this, but this is how he's dealing with it. You know what I mean? And I think that's important too. Like, and I think that actually helps with the balance, I would assume, of being able to express yourself and to still, you know, not feel too uncomfortable in that leading space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what Dreamers did, was the resonance aspect of it, because like there are people in relationships and I was saying stuff that men probably didn't want to say.
Yes.
Or say that was actually happening. So yeah, that's probably the song.
Yeah.
For sure, that popped up.
And that one, like, so what did Janelle think about that song? Like, was she surprised to hear that song? She cried.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely.
She cried, and then I mean, once. Because I mean, those are things I needed to say.
You needed to say,
her.
And she probably realized, like, oh, he does see me. You know what I mean? He sees, like, he sees this, all that's happening here with us. And, you know, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that, and it was a good song. It was a really good song. And you brought the girls into that one?
Yeah,
the music video?
Yeah.
And so that was definitely like when you started to introduce. Like, I think Nye might have made the first White Rags.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But, like, introducing it from a storyline was different. You know what I mean? Because this song had a storyline, and it was your story, and it was your family in the video. And I think that's cool. Was there a moment during the recording where you had to step away because you were just, like...
Dreamers.
Really?
Sure.
During the recording?
Well, I cried while recording it, or while writing it.
Oh.
And then recording it too, I was just like, because it was just so real. You know?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it was your permission to kind of express yourself and probably saying things that you never even said to yourself, and now you're going to say them on an album and tell to the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because I know how that is. Like, you know, once the words start coming, it's like, it's difficult to hold them back, and it's like, and now that they're here, what do we do now? You know what I mean? This
Surrender
is out here now.
Too, I think
this is out here.
I think the song "Surrender" also, that one was a little challenging to record because I was talking about points of surrender in my life, and those were like, I was talking about the group with Resurrected Soldiers. I was talking about a time where I came back from this retreat. After Resurrected Soldiers, came back from a retreat, and I was just broken over how I wasn't like treating my wife bad or anything, but it was like not seeing her, you know, and not understanding. And so I was talking about those kind of things. And that was difficult too, just because it was real, you know.
Lord, I don't understand. Is this really your plan?
Yeah. Shout out to Maurice. He's the one that did that. And I actually, you know what's crazy with that song, with I Surrender, the music inspiration came from what's the song? I just died in your arms tonight. Like that vibe.
Nothing's gonna keep me away.
No, the song goes. Yeah.
I just died in your arms tonight. You know, I kind of feel like it takes dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get to the other side of where you want to be in life, like in general, there's always this dying point, and usually dying is the starting point, right? Like that's the beginning of every movie. Somebody's dying. You know what I mean? Or somebody is like, you know, in conflict and struggle. It's like the whole hero's journey situation. Like, yeah,
exactly.
And it starts off with that deep conflict where you're dying to a whole world that was, and usually that it's not so much as like a death at the beginning. of a movie, but it's like, if you think about it, like the whole hero's journey thing, there it is kind of like a death, because it's like some sort of conflict means that this person can no longer go back to the old life. And if you can't go back to the old life, it's a dead life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and it usually is the start of all the newness of life. And so for me, my story was a little different. I had to get out of the influence of the world around me, because I'm naturally, even though like I am confident and I am free, I am very...
Are we good here?
Right. Very content to be bothered by not doing what people think I should be doing, even though I won't do it. For that reason, I'm still bothered by that, and I question myself 1,000 times over everything, and I'm constantly so for that time in my life, it was a space of me needing to get with just God and just me, so that I can figure out what was what. You know what I mean? Figure out what was, why I was doing what I was doing. You know, just a lot of different things, because I felt like I was just kind of like following the mold, and you know what I mean, and not really understanding. It wasn't my conviction. You know what I mean? Certain things that I was doing wasn't because of conviction. It was because of like the family I grew up in. I do love God. It just felt like it was the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Like just so, and all my thoughts and opinions and questions and things like that throughout my life, I guess I felt like at some point, I don't know how to even say this, but like,
say it, just say it.
It was like,
we're here now,
right? I mean, you just realize that, like, am I asking the wrong person? Does this person actually know the answer to this question, or are they just preaching the answer? You know what I mean? In the sense of like, this is what the forefathers and his forefathers did, and his forefathers before him, and it worked for them. And if it's good enough for them, by golly, it's good enough for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was kind of like that. So I was kind of feeling like, but that doesn't make sense. But this doesn't make sense though. What about this part? What about this part? What about this part? And I wasn't getting answers that I felt like were just non-regurgitated, like truly thought out, like, you know, fully. I've been there. I went through that situation too. I'm going through that now. There wasn't a lot of that happening. And I feel like I was the only one looking imperfect in the world of perfect. And even the perfect that was there wasn't perfect. It was flawed, and everybody could see it, but it was perfect. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, you know, I'm very much about growth. I need to grow, and I can't grow until I you tear down some muscles, right, to build them back up. And so I guess for me, that was kind of like a tearing down of, I needed to make sure that I had my own mind about what I was going to do, and who I was going to be in life. You know what I mean? And not because of that was the expected path. Right. Not because that was the, you know, suggested path or whatever. And like, truly, who do I want to be? And what does my relationship with God need to look like for me? You know what I mean? And do I make all of their restrictions my restrictions? You know what I mean? And do I have to feel bad about it if I don't, you know, if I don't go that route? So I feel like I got a closer relationship with God after I was by myself with God. You know what I mean? More than I was, and I know that's not always the case for everybody. And I'm actually like a people person. I love people, and I'm good with people. And so, but I needed this time of solitude so that I could I felt like I was going crazy in a way. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was going nuts.
Like where
everything felt broken, and everybody around me was acting like it wasn't. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's how I was feeling. So I was like, okay, I know I'm not crazy. Is this broken? Am I broken? You know what I mean? What's happening? You know? And so I needed to figure that out and not just get generic, you know, kind of like, and I'm not saying that like people mean to give generic, obviously, like, and people give you what they have, you know, and and it is what it is. It just I needed something different.
Well, little backstory for people who are watching. Growing up, we actually didn't get along.
You didn't?
We didn't.
I always got along with him. He didn't get along with me. I was perfectly fine. He was the one with the grudge.
Right. And for a few different reasons. I think, one of those reasons for me was, feeling responsibility and all of that kind of stuff. And so there was like this, I felt responsibility and moral obligation, and I wanted to just stay on the path and do the things that I was supposed to be doing. I wanted everybody else to do that. But some of that also, and you can hear that in the album, is just like some self-righteousness that I had not dealt with. And that actually, looking back, that actually also put a wedge between our relationship too. It was just that
you're doing right, girl.
The idea that I was had the moral high ground on a lot of different things, and
that happens.
You're trying to, and so I think the struggle for me, especially in that album, was just like getting to a place of vulnerability and just saying, like, I'm not doing all of this right. I still feel God. I still feel the call, the command to go. And I still feel like I'm, even with everything, I still feel like I'm supposed to be doing something big. Mm-hmm. Like there's this seed on the inside of me, and I'm supposed to be doing something big.
That won't let me go and ain't going away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I knew I was supposed to be doing something big, but I just felt like I had to be perfect. And so that's where the song Go came in, is because I was just, and part of that song Go, I say, I know you feel the weight that one decision makes. You can't pull the trigger. You'd rather wait because there's life at stake when you're risk taking, but it's God. Take the shot, move out the way. It's on his plate. He's big enough for your mistakes and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, and for me, I'm like, okay, I have to get over this sense of like perfection, demanding that from myself and demanding that from other people. What my idea of what perfection is. Yeah. I have to get out of the way and stop demanding that from myself, stop demanding that from other people, and say, okay, God, like, this is literally up to you. Mm-hmm. These people are in your hands. I'm in your hands. And I have to figure out at some point, you're big enough to cover mistakes that I would make, that other people would make. And that's where when I feel like I'm trying to control something, it's because at the core root of that is that I don't believe God's big enough to cover the mistakes that I've made. So I have to be perfect in order to, you know what I'm saying? In order to make things work. Because if I blow it, then the whole thing's blown. And it's just like,
yeah, that's probably older child syndrome.
Yeah.
If I blow it, the whole thing's blown.
Yeah.
I don't think I think like that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people think like that too. Where it's just like, if I mess this up, then there's no coming back from it. And yeah, like that's not, that the Bible says that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And I love God. I know that I'm called according to his purpose, but for some reason I feel like if I blow it, then this thing is not going to work out for good.
That's
and I missed my
kind of like the whole stakes thing that you were talking about earlier is kind of like, but I guess a lot of people do feel that way. I mean,
that's strange to me. I've never felt that.
No, I mean, well, the only reason, I mean, is I wouldn't even say, I say it's an older child thing only because like, maybe it's that whole responsibility feel of like, if I blow it, it's blown. But I guess for me, I feel like I failed so much in my life. You know what I mean? Like, if I fail, I failed. And I just get up and try again and I go on, you know what I mean? But like, maybe that's just a used to failure situation for me. Like, one of my friends is like, because I've had some really amazing wins in life, you know what I mean? And I've had some really low falls. And so I guess it unfortunately, like probably most overachievers, you probably agree with this, is that the wins can tend to be like can come after a lot of fails before it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So failure is almost like a prerequisite.
But
to
it doesn't look like that to everybody.
Yeah.
But in the
but like I remember telling my friends, like they'd be like, "How do you learn how to do all this stuff and you know how to be like, you know, all the talents and skills and things that I had?" And I'm like, the trick is to humiliate yourself to the top. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been like in really crazy situations where it was all gonna fold and I was looking crazy. I looked like I was dumb, didn't know what I was doing, you know, breaking stuff on the set. Like, but I think it takes that to learn, and I've been able to learn. You know what I mean? I've been able to do some amazing things because of that. So that's the only reason I said I don't really think like that. Only because like, but I mean, it's not better or worse. It's like,
do you feel like you've ever like failed so much to a point where you're just you can't come back from it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I definitely have felt like that, but Dad always says that I'm the most resilient.
Yeah, we've had conversations about that too.
Yeah, and I tell you, like, I'm like the most resilient. I'm like, do I want that superpower? Is that even a superpower? Like, you didn't die. Congratulations, you're resilient. You know, woo! Most people would have cracked under that, girl, but you I almost cracked looking at you. You know?
And on the tombstone, she was resilient
until she wasn't. Like, what? No, but like, yeah, that definitely. I guess it's true about me, you know. That's who I am, and I get my personality, and I am grateful for it. I kind of didn't like it before, you know, because but failing forward, I guess, you know, is a real thing, and it's important to be able to. Nobody starts anything off everybody starts at an amateur level, right? You don't gain any skills without starting at zero. And so you're right. The story of zero is not told until you're a billionaire or a millionaire or you're successful. You got your platforms, We don't tell that story until after the success. You know what I mean? And so, but what that leads people to believe is that there was no fail. You know what I mean?
There was no
like
fail.
You popped up on the scene and suddenly you're amazing and they just want you to make them amazing too, you know, at that point. And you're like, yeah, a little bit of a grind to get here, you know?
Yeah.
What about the fails? Like, what are those moments that you had a hard time picking yourself off the floor for within this journey? You know what I mean? So talk to me about that. Like, you have several vulnerable, you know.
Yeah. Well,
then you said you were writing and crying at the same time. Like that's the stories that people want to hear, because those stories, like, they're probably on the floor now, hoping that song will help lift them up off the ground. You know what I mean? And so tell me about, you know, what are some of the deepest fails that in this project that maybe other people would never know?
No, I feel like the deepest fails came after that project.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So that, like, the project for me,
the intro.
Yeah. Okay. So that project for me was like the dying to the old self and having to become a new person.
That was the cocooning moment.
Yes. Yes. So when that happened,
now you're on the other side.
Sure. Yeah. And I started, like, you know, touring and all that kind of stuff. And I ended up going into the Rise project in the season of Rise. And I just kind of started off as a hashtag, and then it turned into an album, turned into a community, all that. But
turned to a movement.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. I won't stop saying it, Gerald.
And so, but
his name's Jarrell, not Gerald.
But what happened after that was massive failure. And I felt like I was actually, you know, because I started hashtagging Rise, and after that project, I was like, okay, now I feel like I have the self-confidence enough to just go out on my own and things are moving. And as soon as I jumped out on my own, like things just started tanking.
Conflict.
Yes.
Here, conflict. Conflict. You know?
And it just like everything started changing. Like concerts started canceling. COVID ended up happening. And that hit for a lot of artists, myself included. With that too, though, is that's kind of like when my spoken word stuff started coming up.
Oh,
and
the big pivot.
And it gave me a different audience, a whole different audience. And
what would you say to people, because speaking of pivot, right? What would you say to people who have been trying to do some of the things that you're doing right now, and they feel like they're just not, they're just not. You know what I mean? What would you say?
My advice would be to pack it up. Just go home.
Listen, look, if it doesn't give up, try something else. Like, what? If at first you don't succeed, give up, try something else.
Yeah, I mean, we have to choose our pain. I think you have to,
choose our pain. That's a good one. Yep.
Yeah.
There's going to be pain regardless.
Yeah. I think you would probably, maybe even shed more light on this than I could, but like, it would just, you're going to endure the pain of change or the pain of staying the same. And you just have to
decide.
Yeah. You have to decide.
But the pain at the end of the same is
right.
More the same.
It's depressing.
Yeah. It's definitely depressing.
So, Kim, thank you for having the conversation. I think, again, it's special because you were instrumental in that whole process, and what you thought was frustration was, in our conversations, what you thought was frustration, it was challenging me. It was challenging me to come face to face with some things in myself. So it was internal conflict. It was all of that kind of stuff that was
challenging you during that time.
Yeah, but it was helping me to like broaden my perspectives and all of that. And it was definitely a challenge for sure. But that's what you saw, and that's what came out of the project.